An organization is looking to design benefits. Can we use technology to give them better insights of how the benefits has been utilized in their previous years, how the claims have come, and can we help them design benefits using the data insights? So this is the beginning of how to design benefits.
The real impact of AI may not be in the fancy customer products that we see, but actually in making businesses much more efficient, which means that certain business models were probably not possible before AI and are now possible because of AI, because the business itself is so efficient.
Hi, wherever you're joining us, I hope you're doing well. Welcome to another episode of Startup Fridays, conversations with accomplished entrepreneurs and VC investors. I'm Hari Arakli, and in this episode, Abhishek Poddar and Saurabh Arora, founders of Plum Benefits Insurance Brokers, talk about how they're using tech to reimagine employee benefits and insurance. In this conversation, Abhishek and Saurabh, who started Plum some 5 years ago, also talk about how the journey so far has been one of discovering a culture of radical transparency with all stakeholders, which is at the heart of their success so far. Saurabh, Abhishek, thank you both for making time for me. Just to get us started, and for folks outside the industry, for a more general audience, just tell us how a little bit of the story of how you started Plum, and we'll go from there.
Absolutely, I can start and maybe you can add. It's been a 5 years journey, and interestingly, Saurabh and I were chatting on WhatsApp last evening that, hey, we actually connected exactly 5 years ago. So it's like a right time for us to have this conversation. But we started conversations 5 years ago. We were figuring out what do we want to do next in life. I was just coming out of my last venture. We were building a company called Hypertrack. And Saurabh was coming out of his last venture, and he can talk more about that. And we were discussing what do we want to build. And before going into what, we said, hey, let's converge on the why. I think when you're building something and when you're building something for the long term, it's important to converge on the why and what can evolve. We spent a lot of time on the why, and I think the two whys that resonated for us was we want to build to have long-term impact. I think over the past almost 15 years of working, we have realized that what really motivates people on a day-to-day basis is not money. I think money is something may drive people on a yearly basis or maybe at some frequency, but what really wakes you up out of the bed and what wakes everyone else out of the bed is, hey, can I go and change the world in some positive way? It may be a small or a large impact. So can we build something that has impact? So for us, that drives meaning. And number two was, we have been in this race of building for very short term, and especially the startup ecosystem somehow in the last 2 decades have been geared towards, hey, how do you scale up and build something very large in a very short time span of maybe like 5 years? And maybe some of that VC mindset also has been driving that. And I think what we have learned is the large meaningful impacts are built over decades and not years. So those were the two whys for us. Hey, can we build something that has impact? And can we really build something that can have a long-term legacy? We can build it for the next 40, 50 years, and we can still be as excited about that problem. So we actually probably discussed many different things we could have done in our life. And the first problem that we started was really at the intersection of healthcare and insurance, and we'll talk about what we are building. And we kept coming back to this problem of insurance and healthcare. We spent almost 6 months discussing different problem statements, but we kept observing that we are coming back to the same problem of insurance and healthcare. It has impact, and it is a problem which is so deep that you can spend your 50 years and you'll still have so much to do. And that's what we are building Plum. And we'll talk more about Plum, but that is why we are together. It's been 5 years, and we still feel that we're just getting started. There is so much to do for us. And maybe Saurabh, you can talk a bit about your journey as well, what brought you as well. So that's the why for us. My personal experience has been Graduated out of IIT almost 15 years ago. Started my journey as a consultant with McKinsey. Great start to career, to learning a bit about business, how business is done. Then moved into the startup world. Have been in the startup world for 15 years. Initially in India, then moved to the Bay Area for my MBA at Stanford. Started a firm in the US that didn't go anywhere. Then joined Google to build products. Again, great experience looking at how to build products at scale, how to build very, very large products. And then eventually moved back to India to venture out. This is the third venture and hopefully the last venture that I'm building.
And we were introduced by one of our common VC friends who we were bouncing out our ideas. And this person came and said, hey, looks like you're in the same trajectory. Why don't you chat with each other? And that's how we started working. But my journey started in academic research. I was on my way to become a research associate. I was doing my PhD. I did my double masters in security computing. And somewhere in my PhD, I dropped out. I thought it was slowing me down and I wanted to do more. And came back to India, started my last company that was called Airwoot. It was in customer support. And 3.5 years down, we were acquired by Freshworks. I led product engineering and machine learning teams there. And I had seen Freshworks grow from an organization of 500 to about close to 2,000. And one constant conversation at the leadership at Freshworks we had was how do we scale culture? And what tools, what enablement we could do for people. And these are the people who are building the world-class products for the rest of the world. And this was my knack of what. Abhishek talked about why, but my knack of what was what can we build for these people who are building the world-class products for the rest of the world. And that's a common thread which connected me and Abhishek, where we started looking at people stack, HRIS, performance reviews, employee benefits, and we just kept coming back to employee benefits and the health insurance part, which is an important piece of employee benefits, and how the rabbit hole of health insurance just took us in. I think it was a journey of about 6 to 9 months of problem market discovery, where we would have chatted with about hundreds of HRs, learning about their problems of procurement of all sizes, small companies to large enterprises, and utilization of their benefits and their experience of employees when it comes to claims and health insurance. Parallelly, we were taking flights to Mumbai and spending time with insurers and trying to learn about their distribution challenges as well. So everything zeroed in about close to 6 to 9 months of what I call dating Abhishek and flirting with the market. We ended up kickstarting Plum in November of 2019.
So before you all got introduced, you didn't know each other. Your paths had not crossed. Okay, very interesting. Can you dive into the problem that you saw and the opportunity therefore a little bit more? For a more general audience, can you explain what you mean when you said there were companies they had challenges with procurement and the way benefits were being utilized? What was the problem that you saw? Maybe a little bit more specifically, and how did you think you could tackle it with your tech and your business innovation?
Yeah, I can start. So there are two kinds of stakeholders. One is the organizations who are trying to do the best for their employees. And when I say doing the best, it also means taking care of the health of their people and making sure they're happy. And the second stakeholder is the employees themselves, who want the best of the benefits, the best of the healthcare. In all of this, there is also a third stakeholder, which is the insurance company, who wants to scale up their insurance business in a profitable manner. So if you look at the organizations as the first stakeholder, for them, there were two kinds of organizations that we met and we are today solving the problem for. On one hand, there were very small organizations. Think of companies who are just starting up, or still smaller scale companies of 10 employees, 50 employees. Unfortunately, the product of group insurance or employee insurance was not built for them. That market was not available to them. They were not able to even go, even if they had all the money, they can't go to an insurance company or an insurance broker to purchase a group health insurance and employee health insurance, because the way these products have been built. Unfortunately, the way health insurance product was built in India before Plum was, either it was for organizations of thousands of people or it was a retail product for a single individual, but there was nothing in between for, let's say, a 10 people organization or a 50 people organization. So there was a supply gap that we wanted to solve, which is, hey, there are really high quality organizations who have a dream of making a large organization and want to do the best for the people, and can we actually go in and build that supply? Can we build that product of health insurance for these small early organizations? The second kind of organizations were large organizations. Now think of a 1,000 people organization like a Zomato or a Swiggy or a traditional organization as well. Their problem was insurance had become very transactional. Insurance as a product or group insurance specifically as a product has existed for roughly 25 years in India. It really started during the Infosys and the TCS era when these organizations started introducing the concept of employee insurance in India. And this world has been dominated by very traditional insurance brokers, the likes of Marsh or Prudent or some of these very homegrown insurance brokers as well. The actual goal of the people leaders, the CHROs who introduced insurance was, hey, can we provide the best of healthcare for my people? They never thought of insurance as a way. For them, the goal was, can we do the best for my people? What happened in these 2.5 decades, it actually became very transactional in terms of, hey, who gets you the best, who gets you the L1 price of insurance, no matter what is the underlying experience. And the experience itself didn't exist. The experience itself of insurance was so outdated. The world had moved from, let's say, if you look at groceries, because that is the most common conversation today. In the world of groceries, 10 years ago, you would go out and buy grocery. 5 years ago, you would expect a 2-day delivery. And in today's world, it's a 10 minutes delivery with the Zeptos and the Swiggies of the world. But that kind of movement didn't happen in the world of insurance. If an employee of a 1,000 people organization that is paying a very large sum of money to take care of their employees wants to use insurance, they would still have to wait for 30 days to get a reimbursement done in their bank account. Or if they're going to a network hospital for a cashless, they would probably wait for 3 to 4 hours to get a discharge done. That's a small example of using insurance despite paying a lot of money. So these are organizations and employees who have all the money to actually get the best of insurance and healthcare, but they're still living in that outdated world of insurance experience. So those are two spectrums of experiences that were broken, one for the small organizations and other for the large organizations. So that is one end of the problem from an employer perspective. From an employee perspective, the problem was either they were not getting access to this quality insurance and healthcare if they are joining a smaller organization, or if they're in a large organization, they are not able to understand what insurance means. Insurance is so complicated for them. It is living in a world of 30-page PDF document or a PPT that the insurance company or a broker would send, and they would run pillar to post if they have to actually use the insurance. And then there was nothing outside insurance. The actual goal was, hey, how do we improve the health? But these companies were not able to do anything outside insurance for these employees. So that was from an employee's point of view, they were not able to understand or use their insurance. So that's from an employee point of view. And then from the insurance company point of view, despite this being such a large market, they were not able to actually scale up to these smaller organizations that really need insurance products. They were not able to build decent profit because the insurance companies, the alignment of the insurance companies and the insurance brokers didn't exist in terms of profitability. So those are some of the problems that existed in the market 4 or 5 years ago that we were trying to solve. I think for us, the core is, how do we build a company that goes back to the core of the objective? The core objective is, how do we improve the health of employees? If you restart the company with that core objective, then you will do good for both the organization and the employees, and eventually for the insurer as well.
In simple terms, in the backdrop of these problems and the opportunity that you identified, give us a sense of what Plum is today. What's at the heart of your business? Then maybe we can talk about what all you've already achieved. Yeah.
Absolutely. So we look at Plum from two core lenses. One is, we are entering into the lives of organizations and employees with insurance as the first product. Like that is the first place where organizations today spend on. We are building the absolute best when it comes to insurance. We can thumb the table and say, hey, you will not get a better healthcare or health insurance experience outside Plum across the world, not just India, across the world, you won't get a better experience. When I say better experience, what that means? That means if you are using Plum, you would get a mobile app where your employees who have no understanding of insurance before can actually understand what it covers, what it doesn't cover in matter of minutes in plain English. It's as simple English that a 10-year-old should be able to understand. What it really means is if you go to a hospital, you can actually get admitted. It may take you minutes to get approval from the insurance and you get admitted. When you're getting discharged, again, it's a matter of minutes than hours to get discharged because of the kind of infrastructure that we have built in the background. If you're trying to reimburse something that you have spent out of pocket, it should not take months. It should not require you to print a bunch of documents, go to a courier company, courier them, do back and forth, and then wait for 60 days to get that money in the bank account. It should be transparent. It should take you 60 seconds to file a claim on a Plum app, and the money should be in your account maybe in a matter of 3 days or 5 days, right? And what we are actually working towards is it should be there in your bank account on the same day. So those are some of the experiences that we have built and are further building. So that's with respect to the core insurance experience where we can say, hey, this is the absolute best experience that organizations and employees can get when it comes to health insurance. The second aspect that we are building is how do we go beyond insurance? Your core objective is improve the health. What can we do first to measure health of your people, of your family members? And then number two, what steps can we take along with you, or what steps can we push you to take to improve the health over a 5-year period, over a 10-year period? Where we started was doing assessments. For example, are there simple assessments like, hey, how is your skin doing? How is your heart doing on a regular basis so that we actually understand your health better and you understand your health better, and then take steps from there. So let's say if we know that, hey, you have some kind of early disorder, we have a team of hundreds of doctors, and these are the best doctors in India today. And it's backed by technology that you can use. It's an interface that you can use in a very simple manner to go and talk to a doctor and figure out, okay, what steps you can take to fix those problems early on. And then if something really bad has happened, then you have to go into a hospital and then maybe use your insurance. And how do you tie up all of these aspects of healthcare to provide one seamless experience rather than a very broken experience from one product or one company to another company? So those are two ways that we think about building Plum, which is from a core insurance, it must be the absolute best experience that your organization get. And then from a healthcare perspective, can we actually make a positive impact on the health of the employees and their family members?
And Hari, this is, when we started out, this is a market which has very low trust. Here, the policyholders do not trust insurance companies that they will reimburse their claimed amount. So very fragmented industry where there are about close to 300, 400 traditional brokers who do not have any technological means to serve a mass population. About thousands of corporate agents, which are like mom and pop shop agents who are selling the policies and often mis-selling the policies as well. So very fragmented, low trust market. And the only way we could create a really big market opportunity, a dent and an impact here is to build a really loved and trusted health insurance and a healthcare provider. And this is where our two focuses are, which is building a great experience for insurance and driving health outcomes when it comes to healthcare for our population.
You all started in 2019, is it?
True.
2019, okay. And providing employee benefits in the broader sense and the health insurance, which is at the heart of your business, involves some linkages. On the one hand, you work with businesses, right? Not directly with the end user beneficiaries. And on the other hand, you have linkages with insurance companies. Is that how it works? Can you explain that a bit?
It does. Just one area to correct is we enter into the lives of employees through organizations. So our first touch point is generally the organization, but then we think of ourselves and our product as a B2C product. Eventually, it's people like you and me who are using Plum, and we expect the same high quality experience around insurance or healthcare that we would expect from any other B2C app that we would be using. So what we obsess about is the actual product that the employees are using, and it has to be really world class. So hence for us, actually all three stakeholders are very important, and what we build is for all of these three stakeholders, which is organizations, employees, and their family members, and then eventually the insurers. We talked a bit about organizations and employees, but for insurers as well that we partner with. We partner with insurers, we partner with some of the healthcare companies as well. For them, it is important that hey, we are able to, one, help them scale, and number two, we are able to help them scale profitably. Every organization or every partner struggles in terms of profitability. So for us, that's an important driver as well, that hey, can we actually build a platform that is making this sustainable for all parties, all three parties, including our partners that we work with.
Who was your first customer?
You should give a context, yeah.
It's interesting in insurance segment, there are certain categories of businesses which are called as caution groups. For example, legal services is a caution group for insurance companies to do insurance with. Doctors is a caution group. NGOs is a caution group. And these caution groups are generally to prevent any sort of conflict that could come with insurance company. And our first customer was a legal company at that time, and we didn't know about that. And it's a journey that actually both Abhishek and I had no prior knowledge of how insurance worked, and this is something which. In many ways, it has helped us that we didn't have any prior baggage of how the insurance work in India. And this had allowed us to completely reimagine in many ways. But our first customer was one of the most difficult customer to crack because we sold the policy to them, and insurance company made us aware that it's a caution group and they can't issue the policy to them. So we had to struggle for close to about a month to close that customer. But eventually we were able to convince the insurance company and make our first deal.
How many employees, how many did they cover in that policy? How many people
The first
benefited?
one?
The first one was actually 93 employees.
Okay. So bring us to today. Give us a sense of what all you've already done. Maybe, in terms of scale of your operations, your biggest customers and partners, investors, funding, the people you have assembled in your team. Anything that you think is germane to generally giving us a sense of the size and scope of where Plum is at today.
Maybe I'll give context on business, and then you should add more about the product and technologies we have built and some of the impact that we have had on people. We are serving over 4,000 organizations today. These are organizations of all shapes and sizes, from 10 people organization to 10,000 people organization. For us, the common denominator across all of these organizations these are people first organizations. These are organizations that really want to provide the absolute best for their people. And we don't care about the size of the organization. What we really care is, hey, do we have the stakeholder on the other side who has the same mission as us, which is, hey, let's do the best for the employees. And those are the customers that really work for us, where we are able to succeed, where we are able to make them succeed. These are even the larger organizations, the likes of Atlassian or a Zomato or a Swiggy, to a lot of very traditional organizations who have existed for 50 years, 100 years, some of the Tata Group companies, etc. But I think it's eventually the leader and the organization culture, which is that common denominator. We are today serving more than 500,000 people through our platform. These are people who are insured not just for health, but different kinds of insurance products, be it their life cover, accident cover, and different kinds of healthcare products that we have built for them. We partner with over 7 insurance companies today. Again, the common denominator across these, see, India has more than 30 insurance companies that can underwrite health insurance today. For us, what really matters is, again, the insurance companies, do they have the same vision of building the absolute best, and building the absolute best in terms of not just the service that they provide, but also are they ready to invest in the technology along with us? When we started, no insurance company in India even remotely thought about building technology in a group health insurance product. They would literally laugh at that idea that, hey, there is a play of technology in this product or in this business. And now, because of Plum, I think there are at least 5 companies who have invested in technology in different forms and shapes, be it in terms of claims processing, be it in terms of administration of the policy, be it in terms of issuance of the policy with us. So we work with over 7 partners today, and we are expanding, but there again, we are very picky in terms of who we partner with. We have been very privileged to have some of the investors on our side to help us build this organization. We have Sequoia, which is now called PeakXV, Tanglin, Tiger Global, and Incubate. These are the 4 investors, institutional investors, along with a lot of angels who have backed us. Again, I think the reason these partnerships have worked out well is these are all investors who really believed in the long-term mission of what we are going after. They are the most patient investors that I have met. They let us build what we want to build. They believe in the team and the overall purpose that we are trying to go after. So I think the absolute best set of investors that we would have gotten. So that's where we are in terms of scale today. Maybe you can talk a bit about some of the impact that we have on product and the lives of people.
So look, our purpose is to really positively impact the health and financial well-being of every Indian. In health outcomes, I can talk about, in healthcare, we have built up virtual primary care, and we have close to about 75 doctors who are consulting with us across about 20 plus specialties, who are available to our members within 10 minutes of scheduling time. We are very proud. We have crossed about 1 lakh teleconsultations on our platform. We have on claims, we have seen 50,000 claims across our platform, and we have a knowledge of how adjudication of those claims have gone through. We've, after observing 50,000 claims processing with multiple insurers, and this is in many ways, like Abhishek was sharing, that this is the beginning of our healthcare journey, where virtual primary consultations, we are introducing health checkups. We are really getting into creating health outcomes of our population, which we have ensured.
How many people in your team itself?
Total overall, we have a 330 people overall team at Plum.
Okay. Atlassian being your customer caught my attention. I mean, I know that they're building a strong R&D team out of Bangalore, other than other operations. I'm just curious, how did that come about? I mean, did they just reach out, or is there a story behind that? An Australian company partnering an Indian startup to provide health insurance for its employees is a pretty interesting sort of anecdote.
No, I think I would say it's 4 years in the making. It would look like everything looks like overnight, but everything takes a lot of time to happen. But in fact, there are a lot of these large global organizations who are with Plum today. Atlassian was one of the examples, but there is Twilio, Flixbus, Remote. They are all customers of Plum. Actually, a very large set of those 4,000 organizations are actually global organizations, because these are organizations that really want to invest in people and want to do the best for the people. I think how these partnerships happen is these organizations they always have that mindset that, hey, I want to keep upgrading what we provide to our people. I want to keep giving them the best. They're always in the market searching, hey, is there a better alternative compared to what they are using today? And organizations like Atlassian was in a similar boat. I think they've been looking out for the last 3-4 years in terms of what is happening in the market. They're observing, hey, there have been multiple new players like Plum that are coming. What these enterprise organizations do is they don't come overnight. They probably research about you for over 1 or 2 years. They talk about you in their network, and there's a very close-knit network of CHROs, benefits manager, CFOs. So they talk about, hey, what is happening in this market? And it's very similar with Atlassian as an organization, which has been talking about Plum probably in their internal circles for over years. And for them, what really flipped is, hey, now Plum as an organization has spent 5 years on this product, has matured, and is able to serve organizations that are thousands of people, 10,000 people organizations. So probably Plum is ready to serve Atlassian as an org. So that really flips the switch for any of these large enterprise organizations. They all know about you, but they're just waiting for the right maturity. So I think for us, also we have seen that journey where whatever organization we think about, the first year we would approach them, they wouldn't even talk to us. It's like, who are you? I don't know about you. Second year, they will talk to us, but they won't put us in the consideration set. Third year, they will put us into the consideration set and will probably go into the final rounds, and we are like the top 2 for them, but they won't go over the fence and work with you. And then it's the 4th year when they'll say, now you guys are ready. Now I want to work with you. And there are so many examples where this would have happened. Saurabh was talking about us talking to people leaders even before we were starting. Like Zomato is a great example. We spoke to Zomato, we met Zomato even before we started. But for the first 2 years, we wouldn't be able to get any meaningful conversation with them because we were too small. Our product was not mature. In the 3rd year, we got a table on this. We got a seat on the table. And then we were eventually ready, where they were able to take a bet. And these are just stories of like 1 or 2 partners, and I think this story plays out almost every day on the corridor, in the sales room, where we are seeing customers who eventually partner in the 2nd or the 3rd year of the conversation.
And that is true, Hari, for every startup who is just beginning their journey, is that what is their brand recall? I think in the last 5 years, we have invested heavily in brand. And this brand is also propagated through word of mouth and in the circles of HR leaders of the country. I can definitely say now, at least when we go to the big organizations, they recognize who Plum is. On Atlassian, I have one point. Look, Atlassian is a global organization, and they have a huge development center in India, and we are seeing this trend across the world, where large organizations are setting up huge dev centers, talent centers in India, and they do not want to compromise on the benefits. They think benefits as investment, and this is a great match for Plum because we are really in the business of designing high quality benefits for these organizations. So benefits as an investment, and then another common thread which connects these organizations is that they need these benefits through enablement of technology. They need mobile apps, they need web interfaces where they could understand the claims, the policies, they could give great experience to their employees. And when these two intersection happens, Plum has a product market fit there.
Can you talk a bit more about that? Tell us about the technology that underpins Plum's success today. And I'm curious as to whether at this stage you would describe it as a product or a suite of products, or are you well on your way to becoming a platform? How do you look at it?
Absolutely. Look, it's a tech play where enablement of tech happens right in the beginning. For instance, when an organization is looking to design benefits, can we use technology to give them better insights of how the benefits has been utilized in their previous years, how the claims have come, and can we help them design benefits using the data insights. So this is the beginning of how to design benefits. Post the procurement of benefits, it's how do we enroll the employees and collect the data from the employees, collect the choices from the employees. This is something which is very fascinating. And when Abhishek and I started 5 years back, one of the problem statements we had recognized was the health insurance for corporate looks like one size fit all. It's like when I purchase health insurance as an HR, everybody gets the same insurance policy. But is this how it should work? Or can we customize insurance at the time of onboarding to the needs of everybody? I may have my parents who is already covered under their insurance plans because they are working. I'm a young person. Another person could be a little older person and their parents do not have insurance. So allow them to choose parental choices. Allow them to create add-ons which customizes to the needs of what their requirements, what their family's structures are. Allow them to top up. Give them a wallet money where they could choose whether they would like to invest in preventive healthcare or whether they would like to increase the insurance coverage for any calamity that could happen. So this idea of flexibility was completely evasive when we started the journey with Plum, and fast forward 5 years, this has become one of the go-to important delivery from a technology standpoint. Is that at the time of onboarding, can we give you flexibility to make choices of customizing the insurance to the needs of every employee? So enrollments are digitized. The administrative work, one of our internal mission is that we have to create zero administration, which means that the HRs who are already onboarding and offboarding employees as they are joining and exiting the organizations, can we automate that process by connecting to their system of records? These could be payrolls, these could be HRISs, and remove all the burden that the HRs spend, which is like an overhead, which they shouldn't ideally. So this is another technology play which is super important for us. From policy benchmarking observation point of view, can we do quantitative and qualitative analysis on the policies and show how is your policy performing as an admin? What could be the next year premiums could look like? How are the claims undergoing in these policies? Can there be qualitative feedback to those policies where next year I could do better benefits design based on how the claims of this year has been? On the employee experience, it's a pure digitization game. Earlier, where I would go to the hospital, get all the bills, receipts, discharge summaries from the hospital, and then parcel them, literally snail mail that to insurance companies and then wait for my reimbursements to happen. Can I just take out the mobile app, take pictures of this bill summaries, and then submit for reimbursement and get my money back within 24 hours? Can I, and this is something which is one of our dream, it's 5 years into the journey. I think that dream is still distant, but we would really like to make it happen through technology. Is that can I create a boarding pass sitting at my home, a boarding pass to walk into a hospital surgery room, just like how we would have a boarding pass and check into a air flight. So this is the kind of enablement that only can happen through a technology play.
Okay, so it's really interesting that you're talking about making this a more holistic experience based on technology for the end users. So in my mind, I couldn't help thinking about whether there's a way that a technology-driven insurance provider like Plum can also tap into or help your end users tap into things like DigiLocker and in general the sort of digital public infrastructure in India to just make the whole experience better. I mean, and how would you exploit that existing infra that's already there and the data that's already there?
Yeah, I think some of the efforts from IRDAI, and even if you look at certain digital public infrastructure, which is the government push on some of the important projects, I think we are super excited about how that projects are rolling out. We are very keen on ABDM, which is the digital mission where Ayushman Bharat digital mission, where it's bringing together an ecosystem of a unified health interface where the patients and the providers could connect seamlessly and do transactions. It has a pillar of record keeping, where all the records, which are the health records, could be digitized. And there is another project which is enabling that is through Aadhaar IDs. And the third lever of ABDM is claims processing. So if you look at all these three pillars together, we are super excited of how the technology throughout the ecosystem could enable seamless interfaces. And as a use case, you could imagine walking into a hospital or a healthcare provider, giving your Aadhaar ID, getting registered in the hospital. Any hospital hospitalization or procedures or consultations thereafter is recorded against your Aadhaar ID. You could come out of that hospital, engage with an insurance provider who is going to sponsor your health calamities or any episodes that you have had. In single click, you should be able to submit all your records which are relevant for insurance companies to come adjudicate. Insurance companies having access to these digital records would have better technologies to instantly adjudicate the claims, and we could be looking at almost real-time interaction of claims processing and reimbursement. So missions like ABDM are super excited for the India ecosystem.
AI, of course, now has become a household kind of term. Everybody talks about it, especially I think after the advent of ChatGPT and in general generative AI now. Can you all give us a sense of how you are looking at it? What you're experimenting with in terms of AI as well as generative AI? Any projects or anything that's already in deployment?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, we are super excited about how AI could impact health insurance, can impact any sort of people-heavy industry where traditionally you have used a lot of people to help solve problems. It is the lens that we are looking at is how we can make people a lot more efficient and do a lot more than they otherwise could do without AI. I'll give you examples and certain flavors of where we are using it in Plum. One, we are using it heavily in customer support. Imagine talking to your policies and getting answers. And a lot of queries that we get, about close to 25% of queries that we get is around treatment coverages. People, because the policies, however may you write the policies, whether a particular treatment is covered and with what limits, what conditions, these are all nuances of the policies, and people may have certain questions. Somebody who wants to go for a cataract surgery, somebody who wants to do a LASIK surgery, somebody who is going for a cancer treatments. What kind of treatments, what coverages, what sublimits? Instead of putting a human who is looking up into your policy and giving an answer, we have built a policy GPT, which essentially allows our members to directly go and chat with your policies. So this is one really high impact project which is scaling out in Plum. Another areas where we are heavily using AI is OCR and document understanding. There is about close to 45% of our claims are reimbursement claims, and which means that a lot of claims with reimbursement has documents which are submitted. And these documents could be right from discharge summaries, could be bills and receipts, implant stickers, and there could be mistakes that could happen when submission of these documents. And each mistake could add close to 4 to 7 days of your processing time, because there is a query raised between the insurer and insurer wants to follow up. You have to procure the documents again and again. So we have deployed AI at the interface itself, where we can scan the documents, look out for any deficiencies in the documents and alert you in real time and allow you to quickly upload the documents again. So it's a document deficiency check that we have built around AI. This is a project called Claims Lens, which we have also deployed to our members.
In practice, what's the workflow like? Somebody has to take pictures of the documents and send you
That's correct.
PDFs, and then you have software that can go through.
Absolutely. So what we've done is we have the whole claims process could have about 25 to at worst 50 documents to be uploaded. So we have segregated the documents in different categories, and then we allow you to just use your phone and open the camera of the phone, keep the document in front of you, and take pictures and just upload it. And while you're uploading it, our AI works on it. We detect any deficiencies and we alert you and we ask you to re-upload or correct a mistake and then upload.
I think one thing to add on AI.
Sure.
I think the way we think of AI is in three parts. One is how do we build better customer experiences, and Saurabh talked about Policy GPT, which is actually enhancing the customer experiences. And a lot of projects we do on the customer experience. Number two is how do we make workflows efficient? I think that's the area which has been the most underrated area that the world talks about. I think the biggest real impact of AI may not be in the fancy customer products that we see, but actually in making businesses much more efficient, which means that certain business models were probably not possible before AI and are now possible because of AI, because the business itself is so efficient. So like the document deficiency review that Saurabh talked about, earlier if we had to scale business, we have to put hundreds of people to do that work, which is now just happening automatically. And there are many such process efficiencies that will come because of AI, not just in our business, but in all businesses that are very people heavy today. And the third is actually on the businesses which are also very tech heavy, where you have to make a lot of tech investment. Our conviction is that how you build technology will be significantly faster and cheaper because of AI. How you write code, how your engineers write code today, let's say if they take a month to ship out a feature, with AI you can actually probably do that in matter of days or weeks compared to month or months. So that's how we think of AI, and our learning is that not just look at those fancy things that your end consumers may see, but look at what can actually enable our business and make this business much more efficient.
Do things like low-code or no-code tools make sense for a company like Plum? And at some point, would you allow your customers get on your platform, customize something for themselves based on what their employees need?
It's interesting. I mean, we already do a lot of low-code, no-code for our internal teams. So it's something which is, when I look back and reflect in our 5 years journey, it amazes me that how many softwares that we have built for our internal teams as compared to our external customers, because we have to make our internal teams efficient. And the low-codes and no-code tools are deployed massively for our internal teams to get access to the data, to do a workflow, to execute a workflow, to do some chores which is making them more efficient as well. To extend this to our customers, I do feel that we are heading into that territory where we want to give customizations to our end customers of however they may want to see, slice and dice the data or do some workflow or build some workflow actions on their own. Because in the end, this whole benefits design could be customized to greater detail or tailored to greater details of your company's workflow itself, of what your onboarding workflow could look like, how your offboarding workflow could look like. So I do believe that a lot of customizations to the end customers is definitely a way forward.
If you throw the story forward some years, do you see Plum as a benefits, the broader benefits and insurance specialist using technology very heavily, or do you see yourself as a very deep technology company and it doesn't matter whether it's... So I'm just wondering how the two of you as founders, what do you envision that future Plum as?
I'll add, this is, in many ways, I frame the problem that we are solving here is like a Salesforce for insurance workflows, for employee benefits workflows, which means that you could be a small company like a 10 people or a 5 people company who's living inside Excel sheets. Or you could be a mid-sized company who's using certain payrolls and HRISs. Or you could be an enterprise company who have their own custom implementations of people records and HRISs. And what we want is that you bring your own workflows to us and we adapt to your workflows. And similarly on the back office side, we are working with all sorts of insurance manufacturers, and they have their own workflows and nuances as well of how they issue policies, how they do endorsements, how they do issue health IDs when employees are joining and exiting, how they do payment processing. So we as a digital broker is deploying excessive technology to manage all these customizations on both sides, and allowing sort of a Salesforce workflows for insurance and benefits.
I'll add to that. I think it's actually an amazing question. Make me think. I would say it's a farmer. When you're building something, you need to have a purpose. And for us, that purpose is impacting health of people. So for us, will always be that organization that is trying to build the best of insurance and healthcare. For us, technology is an enabler. We want to use that. For us, for Saurabh and me, when we started, that's the only thing that we knew. And we continue to use that as our differentiator, as our strength, and as our enabler, and we'll continue to use that in the future. But I don't think we should ever build a company with that mind frame where it is, you only obsess about technology and you lose the purpose behind it. And you will then end up, then you lose the purpose. Then you, like, what are you building for? Like,
You would end up becoming a utility.
You become an utility, you'll probably go in all directions without actually having an impact or adding or creating any value, right? So I think for any company that is building, you have to figure out what are the enablers, but you need to have a purpose. And for us, that purpose is the healthcare of people, and we should never lose that purpose.
Okay. I want to switch to asking both of you about your own personal entrepreneurial journeys and lessons therein. Just for some of the folks who might be interested in this, briefly, can you give us a sense of how you're doing as a for-profit business today? Give us a sense of how you're growing and anything else you want to talk about in that context.
Absolutely. So this is our 5th year of journey. We are, as a business, we have scaled to now doing close to 400, 500 crores in terms of insurance premiums. We are growing at over 100% year on year in terms of our top line. We are also, this is as the company evolves, you keep changing the priority of the company. When you're starting, the only thing that you care about is product market fit, which was for the first year and a half for us. In the next 2 years, it was about getting to some decent scale, which is number of customers, insurance premium that you're doing. For us, we are in the 3rd phase of the company where we are figuring out how do you build this company in a sustainable way. Can you actually build a company which has a positive contribution margin and eventually a positive EBITDA as well? So we are in that 3rd phase, and we have actually turned contribution margin positive and on the way to becoming cash flow positive as well. So we are in that 3rd phase of building the company. I think, and as we build this company, the next phase will be as we turn profitable. Then the next question for us is where do we reinvest that profit to get the next growth engine for us. So that's a phase where we are in as an organization today.
Will you look for more funding? Correct me if I'm wrong. The last funding was around mid 2021.
Yeah,
is what
the
I've
last
come
funding
across.
was roughly 15.5 million. Overall, we have raised close to $21 million. To your question, would we look for more funding? The way we have always looked at fundraising, actually, very interestingly, and I would say we have been lucky as well in a lot of ways. But we have raised 3 rounds of capital so far, and all 3 rounds have happened when we actually didn't require capital. We had a set of investors and a set of people who really believed in us and wanted to build this for the long term. I think for us, that is the most important part. Whenever, if and when we do more such partnerships, more such fundraising, is that a partner that brings in that kind of mindset and is able to add value. The way we build Plum is there is this Y Combinator essay which talks about default alive. The essence of that essay is that at any point of time, your company should be default alive, which means that there is no chance that this company can ever go dead because of lack of capital, which means that you have enough money today, enough runway, and enough confidence that the kind of growth that you will have, that can make the company cash flow positive with the capital that you have today. So we are default alive, will be default alive, which means that our larger vision, we want to build this company for hopefully for our lifetime of 40, 50 years that we have, and beyond. This company should exist and thrive beyond us as well. This company should exist and do well without any external capital raise at any point in time. That's how we build the company. That is the culture that we have. That's the conversation that we have day in, day out. We look at capital raise as, hey, if we get a set of investors who are like-minded and we have an opportunity to build much more than what we are building today, be it in terms of newer product lines, newer sets of customers, newer geographies, or faster growth, it can help us in one or more of those ways, then go and raise capital. But it should not be to say that, hey, this company cannot survive. This company has no unit economics, and we just keep funding a loss-making company. That is not the idea of raising capital. So we'll do it if that is the opportunity, but we will continue to build and will continue to drive that kind of profitability that we want without any raise.
Or if there's a really great acquisition. But I'm guessing that in your field, given that you're probably the ones who are ahead, so you may not necessarily find someone who's built something really amazing in a very narrow niche that might make sense for you. I mean, I could be wrong. I'm just curious about how you look at that, though.
We continue to, actually, one of the ways to grow is also look for like-minded organizations that are probably smaller than you and can help you accelerate. So we actually look at that as a very viable acceleration engine. We, as you mentioned, it's very, very hard. The reason we exist in a lot of ways is no such company existed who was trying to solve this problem. So we haven't found such organizations so far, but we are always on a lookout. If there is an acquisition opportunity, we are always on a lookout.
Okay, so let's switch to this. Your personal entrepreneurial journey, what others can take away from that. Can you both think aloud about what got you wanting to be entrepreneurs in the first place? You're both sort of super achievers academically and in college and all of that, university. You already had the pick of your jobs before you became entrepreneurs, and you could have had the pick of your assignments wherever you wanted, any part of the world. Why get into the messy world of startuping?
Yeah, no, I think my family, my father is a first-generation entrepreneur himself. He was a defense scientist in DRDO. Took a risk. I think moved to Sena Bhavan. Was not happy in administrative work at Sena Bhavan, moved out, took up his private a job in a private company, got restless, moved out, started a factory on top of our home, and it was in microwaves for telecom equipments. So I had seen his journey as a first generation entrepreneur, and I had seen his failures as well. And sort of these ups and downs. I've seen how an entrepreneur was built, went to the ground, came up again, went to the ground, came up again multiple times, and but still followed my father's pursuit of, he was a research scientist at DRDO. I was doing my PhD at some point, and but I think that genesis of watching a first generation entrepreneur and an exciting journey, it sort of persuaded me to drop out of my PhD and start my own journey. I think I would say this sort of inspired me to start my journey, and when I look back, it has been an exciting ride for building.
For me, I would say what I'm today is like combination of all the people that I've worked with in the past. Three things I would say that stood out and that led to what we are building today. The very first experience was leaving McKinsey and joining a very early stage startup here in India. This was an organization called 9.9 Media, which was founded by Pramat Sinha. He's like someone who was in, I think, late 40s or early 50s when he started. Like you would, that was like the last person you would imagine venturing out and taking a risk and starting up, and seeing him, the kind of passion that he brought, the kind of energy that he brought to build a company from scratch, along with 4 other people who were all in, again, late 40s, early 50s. I think, to me, that was the first experience for a few years, seeing set of people and what this experience can do to you. So I think that gave me excitement about doing this, but not the confidence of doing this. The second was then going to Stanford, and if you're in the Bay Area, there's something in the air. Everyone around you is just talking about some new ideas, and they're actually doing it. They're not just talking, they're just starting things every day. So if you live in that environment, you start building confidence that, hey, it's actually not that complex. It's not, otherwise it feels like, yeah, people are doing it, but these are people that I don't know, or people who are like super achievers and I can't do it. But if you live in that environment day in, day out, and everyone around you, your colleagues, your classmates are also starting up and they are doing well, then you get that confidence that, hey, it's actually not that complex. So to me, that was the second part that gave me confidence in addition to the excitement. And the third was then actually working at, spending some time at Google. Again, the set of people that I worked at, the team that I joined was actually a very small early stage company that was acquired by Google. And these were all ex-entrepreneurs who were working at Google. That again gave me some view of actually what entrepreneurship can do to you as an outcome as well. And I think it's combination of those three which made me almost decide that, hey, now going forward, I can't do anything other than building on my own. It may work, it may fail. The first one may fail, the second time it may fail, but there is nothing else that I can do. So after leaving Google, started Hypertrack, and then this is the next venture. But I think it's combination of those three experiences that somehow shaped who I am today.
Can you say what the name of the small company you were part of that was acquired by Google?
This was a company called TalkBen. You would have never heard about it, but it was a 10-people team. But this guy, his name is Kasser Younes, who was the founder, and he was my manager there. He was a product leader, and we spent 2 years together. He then ventured out. He joined Y Combinator as a COO, and then he then again ventured out, and he's building a company called Applied Intuition. It's now almost a $5 billion company, and that's one example. And there were I think 8 other people, and I was chatting with one of those ex-colleagues day before yesterday. Interestingly, all 8 of us are founders today, building in. We are all at different stages of the company, but building all amazing organizations. So it's more about that cohort of people that were together.
What was that company about? TalkBit?
Which one? TalkBit.
What was that about?
They were building a messaging app for small businesses.
Okay.
Which was acquired, and then we started building that within Google. So eventually, that was the code base or the idea that we used within this product called Google My Business. And Google My Business was a product that I was building within Google, but there was a small messaging feature within Google My Business that we launched.
This is pre-WhatsApp, post-WhatsApp?
This is pre-WhatsApp. Now everything is on WhatsApp, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about lessons. And you started the conversation by talking about scaling culture at Airwood and Freshworks. And what's that experience been like so far at Plum?
Yeah, it's tremendous. Scaling culture is hard, especially.
Wait, what's the culture at Plum first?
It's a few things that we've personally drawn out from our previous experience is people-centric culture. There is a radical transparency as the heart of our culture. The way we are building this organization, and I tell this to every team member, is that if anything that you can take out from Plum as you go into your next missions, is how do you build an organization. I would really love for people when they leave Plum and they go out, they start their own venture, because at heart, the way we are building in a very transparent way, it is essentially building an organization openly with all these people together. So transparency is definitely core of our culture. There's certain value systems that we subscribe to, and I particularly think that every company has to create a culture code to solve a problem that they're working on. If we were working in an agri-tech, there would be a culture code that we would have to build together to solve agri-tech problems. And the values that we have here at Plum is, one of the core values is being rock solid reliable. This is an industry which has a lot of mis-selling. This is an industry where there is a lot of opaque terms. There is fraud. There is very heavy manual processes in between. So, and there could be a ball drop that could happen as you are engaging with a customer or even the team members as well. So we ask ourselves to be rock solid reliable to our team members, to our customers, to our partners.
What does radical transparency translate to internally?
Yeah.
Is it like, I was thinking of the blockchain version of culture. Everyone knows everything. You're on sort of a flat kind of, not on a hierarchical need to know kind of situation.
Yeah.
The youngest engineer can call you out if she thinks she has the conviction that you're wrong,
Absolutely.
that there's a better way. So, I mean, sorry for rambling.
All
absolutely.
the same. It's open floor. Like you would see, there's no cabin, nothing. Anyone can walk to anyone. We share almost all data openly to all team members. For example, the note that we send to investors every month about our progress, be it in terms of all the numbers, everything that's going well, everything that's not going well, we send it to our team, entire team of 350 people, including a fresher who is probably just joining out of college or an intern that is joining us for 2 months. So every single person in the organization would have the same amount of information that our investor would have. For us, that's an example of transparency. For all our meetings, for example, the culture that we follow is, hey, anyone can join any meeting. If you have a point, come and make a point. If you want to just observe and learn, come and do that. So these are small examples. I think the theme that or the question that you're probably asking is, it's easy to say radical transparency, but are we actually doing it on the ground? I think that's the harder part, and I think that's what we are. It's something that we discussed on day one of building Plum, which is, hey, here is how we want to build the organization. And I think that's one area where we haven't changed as the organization scaled up from like a 2 people org to a 330 people org, which is every information flow has remained the same.
Can you both think of one imprinting moment, looking back with a customer or an employee, where you felt, sort of in your soul that this is why I'm building Plum?
Yeah, I would say it happens almost every day. I think that's the most satisfying, most gratifying part, which is we get these very long, heartwarming notes from people who have gone through some healthcare episode, some hospitalization experience, where they would say, hey, because Plum existed, I was able to take care of myself or my family member. They would write about our product. They would write about specific people at Plum who were able to go in and help. I think the most impactful parts are where someone was actually able to get the right healthcare because we were standing behind. I think the biggest impact is, especially in a country like India, where people have to make adverse healthcare choices because they don't have access to money or healthcare systems, right? Let's say if I don't have a good insurance program and the doctor is saying, hey, this is the only possible treatment and it is expensive, and because I don't have money, the only outcome is probably death, right? And we see a lot of these situations playing in almost every day. And to us, that is the impact part that we talked about. So if you actually walk across the floor and ask anyone, like they can pull up their laptop and show like so many notes that we get from our members where we actually changed or we played a small or a big role in terms of their life, actual life. We're not talking about something minor that they would forget a day later.
I think if you see the team, it's a team brought together through a mission of impacting the health and financial outcomes of these members, which means that when you imbibe this mission closely, you will go out of your way to help this person. And our teams go out of the way of what's happening in the hospitals at times. And there are people who are in distress times. It's the most distress times when they are accessing hospitals. They are rushing their loved ones to emergencies. They are navigating the insurance desk. They may not be street smart. Hospitals may have some other incentives to push at the time of admissions. Our teams are going out of the way and directly talking to the hospitals and ensuring a smooth process there. Right? So all of this can only happen if you are really mission-driven as a team.
For both of you, what is your way of dealing with failure? And the question I want to tack on to that is, in that context, how would you want young aspiring entrepreneurs to look at the journey ahead?
As a founder, as an entrepreneur, when you recognize that people is the moat, then your sole purpose is to then build and shape teams and attracting high quality talent. But then how do you enable any sort of talent to perform at their highest level? In my earlier venture, I had not recognized this, and I was very excited by just looking at the problems and solving problems. But the biggest problem that we solve today here at Plum now is building and shaping teams.
I think related questions, and I'll answer that in two parts. One, have a purpose. Have a purpose that will excite you for hopefully decades. If that doesn't exist, you will have everyday failures, and eventually you will stop doing what you're doing, or stop following the dream that you have, right? So have a purpose. Otherwise, in a startup, 95% of the days you'll have some or the other, small or a big failure. It's the 5% when you have those peaks that excites you, right? So have a purpose that really excites you for the long term. Number two, don't die. I think the only way to build if you have chosen a good purpose which excites you, and if you're playing in a large market, the market winds are not against you. If those two things exist, then you have to be on the pitch. The only thing that matters is that you're playing, you're batting, right? And if you play for a very long time in a very large market, eventually you will build a large outcome. So for us, what matters is, hey, just don't do anything stupid. Keep building the organization, keep building the team with the same energy every day for a very, 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 very long period. And I say very long period, hopefully like 30, 40, 50 years, not 5 years or 10 years. If you do that, you will certainly have a very large outcome in terms of both impact, in terms of legacy, and in terms of probably financial outcomes that you would also want as an entrepreneur. That is my, those are my two things. I think one other thing I would say is in terms of entrepreneurship, and this is also related to the values / culture. For us, one thing that we have learned is the only long-term differentiator that you can build as an organization is the quality of people that you bring together. The two experiences that I had with the two organizations that I worked at, which is McKinsey and Google, their biggest moat is their people, the quality of people that they were able to get together. That is what makes them win in the respective fields that they are in. And us, I think that is one of the very early things that Saurabh and I decided, which is what will be our differentiator. For us, technology, etc., is something that will give us maybe a 1 year or a 2 year headway. But if I think about what will give us 10-year headway, is if we are able to assemble the best people with a common purpose, and just make them build, like let them build. I think we are home. So for us, that really matters, and probably for other entrepreneurs also who are building, a lot of times we get confused about, hey, what is the differentiator we are building? We feel that eventually it's the people that is your differentiator.